Chapter 13. Return to Danger. The next morning the doctor appeared earlier than usual. He was not alone. A soldier followed him through the door. "I understand FireEye can walk now," the soldier said to Davis. "It's time he got back to work." "He only started walking yesterday," Davis said. "A snake bite is serious. He needs a few more days to recover." "That is not for you to decide," said the soldier. "Have him ready to report to work tomorrow morning." "Yes, sir," said Davis. "He'll be ready. But can I ask a favor?" "What is it?" "I think he should stay here instead of the barracks, at least for a while," Davis said. "You and I both know it's not safe for him there." "That's fine, but he's a prisoner, Jim Davis, same as you. Don't forget it. And don't think you can run things, you understand me?" "Yes, sir, I do," said Davis. "Thank you." When the soldier left, Davis tossed Danny's work clothes on his bed. "Get dressed, Danny," he said. "We're going for a walk." As they stepped through the door, Davis paused. "I almost forgot," he said. As Danny watched, Davis put on his new leather vest, his gift from Danny's grandfather. "I'm wearing this vest everywhere I go." For the rest of the morning, Jim and Danny circled the cotton fields. Danny understood that soon he would return to work. From a hill overlooking the cotton rows, Davis halted. He put his arm around Danny's shoulders and pointed to the workers below. There stood Mr. Dime. "I am afraid for you, Danny," Davis said. He pulled Danny's pants leg above his knee. He pointed to the scars left by the snake bite and the knife wound. Then he pointed to Mr. Dime. "He did this to you, Danny." "Yes," said Danny, pointing to Dime. "He did this." "You be careful, Danny." Danny nodded. "Yes," he said. The next morning, Danny woke up long before sunrise. Davis had water boiling for coffee and oatmeal. After breakfast, they walked to the campfire by the cotton fields. "Take care of him," Davis said to the guards and turned to go. Just like before, Danny did everything he could to avoid Mr. Dime, but he soon noticed that something had changed while he was gone. The other prisoners didn't laugh at Mr. Dime's jokes. They barely spoke to him. No one sat near him at meals. After lunch, Danny took his hoe and worked a few rows away from the other men. He was chopping a stubborn patch of weeds when he heard two prisoners shouting, "FireEye! FireEye!" Danny looked up and saw Mr. Dime sneaking up behind him. He held a jagged rock in his fist. He tossed the rock from one hand to the next. Danny glanced at the guards, but they were too far away to see what was happening. Dime expected him to run. Instead, Danny stood his ground. He dropped his hoe and looked Mr. Dime in the eyes. He knew that if he fled, if his back was turned, Dime would strike him in the head. Dime pulled back his arm and flung the rock. It flew past Danny's head so close he felt the air whistle as it almost nicked his ear. Mr. Dime laughed. "I'll let you live today, boy, but I won't miss you tomorrow." He looked to the other prisoners. "Lucky boy," he shouted. Everyone turned away. "Maybe you better look out, Dime," a prisoner shouted. Now the prisoners laughed. They pointed over Dime's shoulder. When Dime turned to look, Danny Blackgoat stood holding the rock. He was tossing it from one hand to the next. As the prisoners watched, Danny threw the rock across the field, far away from any workers. The prisoners cheered. Danny Blackgoat made friends that day, friends who would stand by his side when Mr. Dime tried to hurt him. He didn't have long to wait. An hour after Danny went to bed that night, trouble appeared. Davis and Rick were sitting on the porch of the carpenter shop talking quietly. "Sounds like something prowling around the back of the shop," said Rick. "Something or somebody," said Davis. "We better have a look." The men rose quietly and circled the shop. They rounded the corner in time to see a man hurry away from the window. "Did you see who that was?" asked Davis. "I can't be sure, but it looked like one of the prisoners to me," said Rick. "I think I know which one," said Davis. "The same man who turned the rattlesnake loose in Danny's bed." "Mr. Dime?" asked Rick. "That's who it looked like to me." Davis struck a match as they approached the window. "Look," he said, and pointed to several large footprints. He was crouching at the window. "Let's have a look inside and make sure Danny is safe." Davis lit the lantern as they entered the front door. "Danny," Davis called out, "are you all right?" "Jim Davis?" Danny said. "Mr. Dime was outside," Davis said, pointing to the window. Danny rolled out of bed and flung back the covers. "Snake?" he asked. "No, Danny, no snake, not tonight," Davis replied. "But we're not giving him another chance. Rick, can you stay here tonight and help us keep watch?" "I'll let my wife know. I'll be back soon," Rick said, and hurried away. Rick and Davis took turns patrolling the grounds around the carpenter shop. Davis took the final watch. An hour before sunrise, he traced the footprints to the prisoners' barracks. "Mr. Dime will not give up till they bury Danny Blackgoat," Davis said to himself. "He's not safe here. Not anymore."